this movie was truly something special. Not many people get why these types of movies become so special. No one ever considers or thinks what the time, the effort that goes into these movies. Nobody gets that at the time. Oh, they're just comic book movies. Oh, it's just a superhero movie. Oh, it's just a movie for fans to get excited. It's not just about that. It's about what Tony said. It's about legacy. We've been watching these characters evolve. We've been seeing these characters grow. We've been seeing these storylines collide for the last 11 years. And this movie, oh my God, this movie was something truly something special. I have never seen a movie like this before in my life. You have all these genres. You have all these characters. You have all these cast members. You have all these themes and elements that have never been put together in a movie before. If you saw my Infinity War reaction, if you saw my Endgame reactions, you know exactly how I feel about this movie. You know exactly. I went to this movie with high hopes, and the movie delivered, man. There's no guarantee about that, man. There's no denying it. They wiped the entire floor. The Russo brothers came into Marvel Studios and the Disney. They took little tiny pebbles and they made it into a marble platinum movie. They killed it. The Russos killed it. From Infinity War's climax and ending to Endgame's beginning to middle to end, it was unbelievable. This movie just was crazy, outstanding. It picks up right as I said it was going to. I said we're going to go in, we're going to see Hawkeye's family get turned to dust, we're going to see all these other civilizations get turned to dust, and we're going to cut to Nebula and Tony. So the movie opens right at Hawkeye's farm, right? He's teaching his daughter how to shoot the bow. Next thing you know, after she shoots the arrow, he tells her to go get it. He turns around for 1 second. She's gone. Instant. Turned to dust. He turns around. Like, where is she? He's calling out her name. Turns around. His wife and 2 sons are gone. He's running out there in the field. He has no idea what's going on. Then it cuts to the Marvel logo. And one cool detail that I spotted when I first see this. A lot of people didn't see this. And I was actually I was like, how did you miss this? The people that got dusted from Infinity War, you don't see them in the Marvel logo. I saw that. People just didn't see it apparently. Well, I know. So after the logo, you see Nebula and Tony playing paper football. They're having a good time. You get to see Nebula smile for a little bit. That was nice. I really liked it. Karen Gillan, man, she's a great actress. You know, Robert Downey Jr., fantastic actor. So after they get done playing paper football, he records his message to Pepper. It's like 22 days. They've been in space. They run out of food. Their oxygen's going to run out the next day. And he's telling her, don't worry. When I drift off, I'll think about you. I always will. He goes to sleep. Nebula puts him up in the chair. Next thing you know, Captain Marvel shows up. Saves him. Brings him back to Earth. So they get back to the Avengers facility. Cap, Bruce, Black Widow, Rhodey. Everybody's there. Even Pepper. They all there. They waiting. Captain Marvel shows up. Brings him down. She's like, I did it. Thank you. Welcome. And then seeing Steve and Tony reunite. Heartbreaking. Really, really heartbreaking. Because at first it starts out, they both like, we couldn't stop him. And then Tony's like, I lost the kid. And then Steve's like, we lost everything. We lost. So they go into the facility. They show everybody that they were in contact with. We're talking back people from the Phase 1. We're talking about people from Phase 2. We're talking about people from Phase 3. They showing off everybody's face. Everybody that got dusted. Then Steve and Tony get into an argument. Tony says he failed, and it's all because of Cap's fault. So, you know, he passes out, right? And they tell him, don't worry, he's going to be fine now. He's going to be out for the rest of the day. And Carol Danvers is like, you know what? While he's resting, I'm going to go kill Thanos. They're like, well, do you know where he is? Nebula's like, I do. She's like, when I was growing up, he always talked about going to a place called the Garden after he did his job, after he snapped his fingers. So they locate a planet because apparently Thanos snapped his fingers again 22 days after the first snap. So, you know, they talk about the plan. Bruce Banner's like, yo, we're going in too short. And they're like, well, let's just go get them. We go get the stones. We can snap our fingers back. We can bring everybody back. So everybody's in this, like, everybody's in this, they're in depression and they're sad and they're feeling miserable. So they're all like, let's just do it. Let's go get them. They go out in space. They find him. And I called this again. There's a lot of things I called about this movie that were going to happen. So they get to the garden. Thanos is all messed up. He's limping, of course. But you don't know why yet. I kind of had a good idea of what happened. I thought it was from his first accident. When he first snapped his fingers, half his arm was charred. When you see him for the first time in this one, his entire face, like half his face and the rest of his arm, it's all charred up. So, you know, he's making some kind of soup or something. Next thing you know, boom, all the Avengers show up. They get him to a headlock. They're holding out his arm. Thor comes in, cuts his arm off. They look at the gauntlet. They're like, where's the stones? Where are they going? He's like, I used the stones to destroy the stones. They were just too powerful. I already did my job. They weren't necessary anymore. So he just got rid of them. They don't believe him. Nebula's like, don't worry. My father's not a liar. He never has, never will be. And he's like, yep. He's like, maybe I mistreated you, dog. Then all you see is Thor go, wham! Cuts Thanos' head off. Clean off. They're like, what the heck did you do, man? It's like, I aimed for the head. Then he just walks out. And everyone was laughing at that scene. Like, it was a funny line, but I was just like, God dang. I'm like, really? I felt like Rocket. I'm like, you didn't accomplish anything. You killed him, but we didn't do anything. So after they leave, 5 years later, I'm like, 5 years? God dang. Can you, like, I'm even having a hard time now. It's been like 4 or 5 weeks after the movie came out, and I'm still thinking, I'm like, 5 years. You tell me the whole universe, the whole Earth, went in 5 years with New Year's resolutions, Christmas, Thanksgiving, like, all these birthdays and all these other celebrations for 5 years? Oh my God. So, you know, Captain America's holding those meetings with all these other people, telling them to move on. Like Peggy said in Winter Soldier, you got to move on. And even then, he's still wrapped up in his head, like, I can't move on either. Not just dealing with the fact that half the universe was snapping. He's talking about without being with without Peggy. He still can't move on. So then you cut to San Francisco. Scott Lang makes out of the quantum realm. There was a little rat that walked across one of the panel controls. He gets shot out. Then he goes to look. He doesn't even know what happened because he's been gone for 5 years. He's been stuck in the quantum realm. So, you know, he gets out, goes and looks around, and then he goes to like this little area where they have all these monuments that say the fallen. And he starts freaking out. He's looking for Cassie's name. Then he finds his name. And he's like, yeah, why is my name on there? I didn't vanish. So he goes to his old house. He goes to Cassie's house. He finds her. She's all grown up. She's about 15 years old. I'm like, wow. I'm like, in the first Ant-Man movie, she's like 5. I'm like, you missed like 2 or 3 years of her childhood. And then after Civil War and Ant-Man the Wasp, you had to go under under house arrest. She's about 10 in that movie. I'm like, geez. And then you go away for 5 years again? I'm like, you missed out on so much of her life, man. I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad. And Cassie doesn't have she don't have her stepdad or her mama. They probably got snapped too. So anyway, you cut that, and seeing Paul Rudd, man, he was great in this movie, man. Not only was he funny, man, but he brought the whole, like, I felt that, man. When he first met Cassie, I felt that. I felt that really well. I felt that, man. When he was reuniting with her, I really did feel that. So, you know, they go back to the facility. Black Widow's all messed up. She's talking to everybody that's doing their job. And then Rhodey says, I'm looking for Hawkeye. And he's been killing people. Then he goes offline, and then Widow breaks out, man. She's crying. Steve's like, we gotta move on. She's like, I can't. She's like, and the original 6 Avengers, they brought their end game to this movie, man. They had some of the best moments, some of the best scenes, and some of the best lines in any of the movies that they've been in. This is the best Marvel movie in the entire MCU, without a shadow of doubt. Because the energy and the themes and elements that they did in this movie, man, were outstanding. Like, never before. This was really, like, 10 to 11 years in the making. So she's breaking out, she's crying, she's like, I was nothing without this. I was nothing, I had nothing. And then she's like, I got this job, I got this family, and I built something. I made it. All of these missions, all these adventures, all these moments with all of you, it's what made me a better person. I'm like, dang, she's right. What she did growing up, what she did with her training, I'm like, geez, yeah. So, you know, they talk about getting a new life, and then you see Scott Lang on the monitor, and they're thinking, oh, is he really there, or is that just an old recording? So they bring him in, and he's pretty much like, yeah, we can go in the quantum realm, because he's like, I was stuck in there for 5 years, apparently, but it only felt like 5 hours, and he's like, we could use it to go back and get the stones. And they're like, well, we gotta find someone who's smart enough. So they go to Tony, and oh my god, I did not see this coming. I really thought the end of the movie we were gonna see Pepper and Tony get married. No, they already been married, but better yet, they had a kid. They had a little girl, Morgan Stark. She's sitting in there with the tent. She's wearing Pepper's armor. And that whole scene of Tony and Morgan bonding to get... I bought that. I really bought that. Tony, man, he has this way, man, with kids. He has a really good connection with kids. That whole relationship that he had with Peter Parker, that's what made him want to have a kid. And I believe that. So they go to Tony's house, and he's like, it's impossible. We can't do it. We can't go back in time. It's like, it's not possible. You got lucky. You made it out. Good job. He's like, if you guys want to talk about anything else, let me know. So they go, and they're like, we gotta find someone else. And they're like, oh, we know somebody else. So they go find Bruce. But he ain't Bruce no more, and he's not the Hulk. He's Professor Hulk now. So he put the brains and the bronze together. And then you got that funny scene with the kids and everything with the whole dab. That was pretty funny. So he's like, it's out of my area, but he said, I'll give it a try. Then you cut back to Tony. He's in there doing the dishes. He spills a little water on some stuff. He cleans it up, and then he picks up a picture of Peter Parker and him. And then he decides to give it a try. So he makes up his own time machine. He's like, alright, let's see if this works. And then he finally gets it right. He's like, okay, it works. We can go back in time. And then he has another funny scene with Morgan. He has this other bond with her. I love you 3000. That was great. So then he tells Pepper, he's like, we got a shot. We can go back in time. And she's like, it's dangerous, but you got to try. And he's like, but Tony's like, I've been trying to quit all these years. And he's like, I don't know. Maybe I should just stop. And he's like, I could just get rid of it. We never even tried. He's like, we got a good life here. We got lucky. He said, and then Pepper's like, not many other people get lucky. And he's like, yeah, but I don't want to ruin what we got. And she's like, but are you going to be able to rest knowing that you can save people, knowing that you can bring everyone back? And he's just like, all right, let's give it a try. So after they have, back at the Avengers facility, they have one bad experiment with the time travel. It doesn't really work out well. Tony comes back. He's like, I made it. It's a working GPS. We can go back in time. And he's like, he gives Steve the shield back. And then they start bringing all the Avengers back together. They bring Thor. They bring back Clint. They bring back Nebula and Rocket. They come back. That scene again with Thor. First time I watched it, I liked it, but after my second and third time, I kind of didn't like Fat Thor at first. Kind of got me a little bit, I didn't get used to it for a little while. I'm pretty sure he'll go back to like his regular self later. I hope. I really, really do hope. That's the only thing I have to really nitpick about this movie was the Fat Thor. I got why they did it. It wasn't just for comedy. It was also for his entire story arc. So Rocket and Professor Hulk, they go get Thor. He's beat up, he's fat, he's got his beard and his long hair back again. Kind of don't miss the long hair, I wish he kept it short again. He's an alcoholic now. They go back and recruit him, and he's like, alright, let's give it one last try. Then Natasha goes to go get Clint. He's over in Tokyo killing people. I was really excited to see more about Ronin, but they didn't really show off that much. They just showed that one scene, which was okay. I just wish it was a bit longer, so she go gets him. And by the way, Clint is good with the bow, man, but when he was slicing people up with that sword, man, god dang, man, he was pretty good. So they go back to the Avengers facility. they're all talking about when they first encountered one of the Infinity Stones, and they're like, okay. And then Natasha has a good idea. She's like, wait a minute. You're telling me there are 3 stones in the same year? And they're like, oh yeah. And they're like, if you pick the right year, you can go back and get 3 stones at the exact same time. They're all at the exact same place. So I already knew what they were talking about. So they split up into 3 teams, into 3 different timelines. One team goes to 2012, the other one's going to 2013, and one of them goes in 2014. So they split. So one team goes off into the New York battle in 2012 from the first Avengers. Then Thor and Rocket go back to Asgard in 2013 during the Dark World, and then Black Widow, Hawkeye, Rhodey, and Nebula, they go to 2014 back in the Guardians movies. Clint and Nat go off to Vormir, and then Rhodey and Nebula, they stay on Morag. Which I knew they were gonna do time travel, but I didn't think they were gonna like go back to previous like Avenger all these other movies. Like they got to cross over with themselves, like their younger selves, and they also got to interact with characters that had been dead for like years. So the group in 2012, Bruce goes to the Sanctum. He confronts the Ancient One, which was great. They brought her back, great. She punches Bruce's soul out of his chest, and she's like, "You can't take the Time Stone from my time, because if you do that, it's gonna mess all my timeline up." And he's like, "Not if we bring it back to the exact same moment it was taken." She's like, "I can't risk it." And he's like, "I promise you." And she's like, I can't count on your promise. Like, you have to survive." And he's like, "I will." He's like, "I just can't." He's like, "Then why did Strange give away the Time Stone?" And she's like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah. Why would Strange give away the Time Stone to Thanos?" And she's like, "He did it willingly?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know why." And she's like, and Bruce is like, "Maybe he made a mistake." And she's like, "No, maybe I did." And then she gives it to him. She gives the Time Stone back to Hulk, and she's like, "Strange is meant to be the strongest and smart of us, so he must have a plan." So he's like, "Okay, I'll return it." And she's like, "I'm counting on you, Bruce." So that's one stone down. Then you cut to Tony and Cap and Ant-Man in the Avengers Tower, which was so cool. You got to see how they arrested Loki, how Hydra got the Tesseract and the Loki staff with the Mind Stone. Because I always found it confusing. I was like, how did they get the Tesseract and the Mind Stone between Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron? It always confused me. Which was so cool. They showed how it. Tony and Ant-Man they lose the Space Stone because Hulk hit the 2023 Tony, and he dropped the cube. Loki picked it up and disappeared. He created an alternate timeline now. Cap fights his younger self, which was awesome. I did not see that coming. That was so cool. And he used the old Bucky trick, because 2012 Bucky, Captain America didn't know that Bucky was alive, so he's like, "Bucky's alive." He lets go, and he knocks him out, gets the stone, he drives off. Cap and Tony meet up again. He's like, "Yeah, we lost it. We got to try it another way." And then Scott's like, "We can't. You guys, we've only got one more particle to get home." And Tony's like, "Wait a minute. I know where we can go. We can go get the Space Stone. We can go get the pin particles, enough to get us back to the future." And Scott's like, "Are you sure you?" Like he has no idea. So Tony and Cap split up. They go back in the 1970s, and then you get to see Tony interact with his dad, his younger dad, which was so good. That was really well done, because Tony's he's been wrestling since the first Phase 1, since Phase 2, and then in Phase 3 he figured out who killed his parents. So for him to meet his dad and to have closure with him, to realize that his dad really did love Tony, even though he wasn't born yet, that was really well done. You got to see a young Hank Pym. He was like in his early 20s, besides what he looked like in Ant-Man and Ant-Man the Wasp. Like that de-aging technology they have in the Marvel Universe, that stuff's crazy. So, Cap steals the particles, Tony gets the Tesseract, and then Cap runs into an office, and he figures out that's Peggy's office. And he just looks across the window, and he sees her, and that was sad, because he was like, I could go talk to her, but he's like, I can't jeopardize this. So, Tony and him go back to the future. Um, you cut back to Rocket and Thor. Thor's kind of panicking. He runs into his mom. She finds out that he's from the future just because of how he looks and how he's acting. They have this sit-down talk, and she's like, just because you're born into something doesn't mean you have to be that person. You can be the person that you want to be. So, Rocket gets the ether from Jane. He extracts it. They go back in time. And then Thor summons Mjolnir. He takes it back with him. And he's like, I'm still worthy. Then you cut over to Gamora. You cut back to Nebula and Rhodey. They watch Peter Quill walk and he's singing, which was great because it cut the music right out. It was the same opening from Guardians of the Galaxy. They cut the music out. You just hear Peter sing. So they knock him out. They extract the Power Stone, and that was I like the conversation that Rhodey and Nebula had. Nebula sticks her hand through that little cage that keeps the Power Stone locked in. She grabs it. Half her arm just melts off, and she's like, "I wasn't like this all the time." And Rhodey's like, "Yeah, neither was I." And it kind of meant like two things. Number one, he's paralyzed from like the legs down. That's why he's got those artificial legs. And also, he's got a suit of armor on. Like, he wasn't like that in the first Iron Man movie, and he became Iron Patriot or War Machine, whatever you want to call him, from the second Iron Man movie to now. So I like that. So they try to go back in time. War Machine goes back. Nebula gets stuck in trance because 2014 Nebula is seeing her future memories, even though that they haven't happened yet. Then you see 2014 Gamora alive. She's like, oh, maybe her transmission was damaged. 2014 Thanos, he like, nah, there's something going on. So they bring her back to the ship. They look through her memory. He sees himself getting his head cut off. He's like, that's destiny fulfilled. Ebony Maw's like, this is your future. Your daughter's a traitor. And then 2014 Nebula's like, no, I'll never betray you. I'll never do that. And he's like, you better not. He said, I believe you. You better keep up your end of the word. And I'll come back to this. 2014 Thanos, he's a beast. I'll come back to him in a little bit. So they go back. They go to Morag. They extract 2023 Nebula. They take her back to the ship. All of a sudden, 2014 Nebula steals the Pym particles from her quantum suit, and a piece of her head, like a piece of her metal hair, and she goes in disguise. So she goes back to the future with the rest of the Avengers in disguise as the future Gamora. Then you cut to Vormir. I already knew this. Right when they were planning the time heist, I was like, they don't know this yet, but they have to go to Vormir. And to get the Soul Stone, you have to give a soul for a soul. So I already knew what they were going to do. I already knew it. And I knew exactly who was going to give their life. That scene was... That scene destroyed me. I cried 7 times the first time I saw this movie. Second time, 5. Third time, 3 times. And each of those 3 screens that I saw, each 3 times I watched it, I cried at each one. It was the exact same scene. When Black Widow gives her life to get the Soul Stone, I cried. She says, for the last 5 years, I've been trying to get right here to bring everybody back, and Clint's like, no, it's gotta be me. It's gotta be me. And then they fighting over each one, like which one they want to sacrifice. Finally, she jumps off. She grapples him to the cliff. She kills herself for the Soul Stone. She sacrifices herself. And she landed... If you go back and watch Infinity War, when Thanos threw Gamora off the cliff to get the Soul Stone, you could see 2 other body outlines where 2 bodies used to be there. She landed a few feet from where Black Widow was. And keep in mind, this is 2014. So back in 2018, when Infinity War happens, Gamora is sitting right next to the future Black Widow. That scene was... So, Clint gets the Soul Stone. They go back in time. They go back to the future. Everyone comes back and they're like, "Did we actually do this? Did we actually won? Did we all get him?" Then they all look and they're like, "Where's Nat? Where's Natasha?" The original 6, they go out on this like lake. Cap is all in tears. Tony's like, "Did she have family?" And Cap's like, "Yeah, us." Then you see Thor come over here and be like, "What? What was that? What did he say? Tony's like, he was just asking a question. He was just asking something. He was just saying something. Thor's like, no, Cap, this isn't time to get sentimental. No. With the stones, we have them. We can bring her back. Clint's like, nah. It doesn't work like that. Thor's like, what? Clint's like, no, it can't be done. It can't. It can't be undone. And then Thor's like, no. He's like, I know you're human, but this is magic. Okay, this is science. Okay, we can bring her back. And he's like, no, we can't, because the red dude. Red Skull, he's like, we can't do it. He said it can't be undone. It has to be a soul for a soul, so we can't bring her back. And then Professor Hulk, he's already mad enough. He's like, we gotta make it work. We got to. Otherwise, this is all for nothing. We gotta do this for her. And the Cap's like, yeah, we will. So they go back to the lab. They make the nano gauntlet. They use the nanotech from Tony's suit. And they put all the stones right back into place, but it's all a nano gauntlet. So they're all like, who's going to put on the glove? Who's going to wear the gauntlet? Who's going to snap their fingers? Thor's like, I'll do it. And I wanted Thor to do it just because he needs that redemption. He needs to be the one to, like, do it. But at the same time, he wasn't ready to do it. He was already drunk. He was kind of powerless. I mean, he still had his lightning and everything, and he was still super strong. But he was just no shape and condition to do it. So then Professor Hulk's like, I'll do it. You guys all can't survive it. You saw what happened to Thanos. Half my gamma is radiation. I should be able to make it. So they lock down the entire facility. Everybody's all suited up. Hulk puts it on. Tony's like, you're just going to bring everyone back to now. To when they first disappeared. Don't change anything that happened in the last 5 years. Just bring everybody back. So he puts it on. He struggles for a little bit because it's having a hard time accepting his body. He snaps his fingers, brings everybody back. You hear Clint's phone ring. You look at the phone screen. It has his wife's face on it. It has Laura. He picks it up. He's like, honey, you all right? Scott walks over to the window. He sees a couple birds appear. He's like, I think we did it. Then all of a sudden, you see Thanos shoot missiles. Do. He lights up the entire Avengers facility. Because if you remember, 2014 Nebula gave the pin particles from her suit. And Ebony Maw, he's smart enough. They didn't show this, but I'm guessing this. Ebony Maw is smart enough. He's one of the smartest people in the MCU. Besides Shuri, Tony, and Bruce, and all the other science nerds. He was able to shrink Thanos' ship from 2014 and bring it to 2023. So, you know, Thanos, he just goes, do, like the whole facility up. So half the team is under rubble. The other, Clint's in the tunnel with the gauntlet. Tony, Cap, and Thor, they all stand outside. They're like, this is it. This is the end game. They're like, we got to do this. He's here. Let's get him. We just got to make sure he doesn't get the gauntlet. And Thor's like, all right, let's kill him properly. He summons both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. His entire beard braids up and everything. They walk down there, and Thanos is like, I thought eliminating half the universe would even out. The rest of the universe would thrive and become peaceful. But he's like, I can see that didn't work out. So I'm going to kill your entire planet. And then I'm going to rip the entire universe into an atom. And then I'm going to restart. I'm going to restart everything from scratch. It's going to be all in my image. They're like, screw that. They all tag team in each one. Then Thor and Tony get knocked out. All of a sudden, you see Mjolnir rise up. I already knew what happened. I already know what was going to happen. Everyone's like, oh, is Thor rising it? No, it's Captain America. Picks that up, swings it around, hits Thanos. Square in his face. Throws his shield, throws Mjolnir, hits him. Thunder claps him in the head, summons the lightning, boom! Thor's over there sitting, smiling and laughing. He's like, I knew it. I knew it was you. I knew it. I knew you could do it. Thanos is like, I'm not doing this anymore. Grabs his double blade sword, rips it right into Captain America's shield. You can see the whole sword in the shield. Tears that sucker up, rips it in half, cuts his arm and leg. And then he's like, you know what? I'm done. He summons the Chitauri army. He summons these big Chitauri-looking apes. He summons the Outriders. And then Cap's just sitting there. All of a sudden, you hear, on your left. Then all these Doctor Strange portals open up. You see everybody. I'm talking about everybody from all the movies show up. You got everybody. Wakanda opens up. You see Black Panther, You see Shuri, you see Okoye, and you see the Dora Milaje. You see the Jabari. They all walk out. Ibambe. Then you see the Titan portal open. You see Doctor Strange flying. You see the Guardians walk through. And then my son, Spider-Man, swings right in. You show the Mystic Arts. Wong shows up. He brings an entire army. You see Howard the Duck. You see Hope show up. The Wasp. Everybody. Ant-Man becomes Giant Man, picks up Hulk, Rhodey, and Rocket. They all summon. Everybody gets in a group line. Then Cap says, Avengers, assemble! And they all charge right towards Thanos. Everybody runs straight to the T'Chari. They all doing tag team movies. That final battle is the best battle I've seen in a movie ever. Not gonna top it. The best. I'm talking from Lord of the Rings. I'm talking from The Hobbit. I'm talking from the Star Wars. I'm talking from the best. The best of the best of the best. They were doing tag teams. They were doing combo moves. They were doing everything. And the dialogue that they had with one another. Thor and Cap tossing Stormbreaker and Mjolnir each. Great. Then you got Peter Parker and Tony Stark reuniting. Peter Parker saving Tony's life again. He comes down. He's like, yeah. He's like, do you remember what happened when we were in space? And I got all dusty. And I must have passed out because Doctor Strange said it's been 5 years. And he started doing the yellow circle. Tony's like, just stop talking. Hugs him. And Peter's just like, this is nice. Then you see Peter Quill reunite with Gamora. But it's not his Gamora. It's 2014 Gamora. She has no idea who he is. And he's like, but it's you. And Nebula's like, it was either him or a tree. So 2014 Gamora's dead. They shot her. She's dead. Thanos is like, where's the gauntlet? We gotta get the gauntlet. Clint's over here running with the gauntlet. Gives it to T'Challa. He starts running. And then Thanos attacks him. And then Scarlet Witch shows up like, you took everything away from me. And he's like, I don't even know you. She's like, you will. Breaks his armor apart. He's starting to compress his bones and skin together. Ebony Maw pulls Black Panther and the gauntlet. Spider-Man comes in. I got it. Grabs it. Lands on some Outriders and goes, activate instant kill. I was like, finally! Finally you activate that mode. Thank God. He starts killing all these other Outriders. He gets summoned by a few of them. Then he's like, I needed some help. Cap throws Mjolnir. He's like, heads up, Queens. He swings off with it. Pepper catches Peter. Throws him up. He lands on Valkyrie and her flying Pegasus. Then he crashes to the ground. He gets shot by a missile. And then everybody, they start shooting missiles and cannons at everybody again. Then all of a sudden, the cannons start pointing up in the sky. Everybody's like, what are they firing? I already knew it. I already knew who it was. Captain Marvel comes in. Boom! Flies right through all that stuff. Goes right through the whole ship. The whole ship like she did in her movie. Goes right through each one. Thanos is like, oh, are you kidding me? Really? Really? This is all happening? Again? What's happening? So she lands. Ant-Man and the Wasp, they're starting up the van. Because they needed another time machine to get the gauntlet out. Because Thanos already destroyed the other time machine when he came through the roof. So they start up the engine. Captain Marvel lands right next to Peter Parker. He's like, yeah, hey, I'm Peter Parker. And she's like, hey, you got the gauntlet? He's like, yeah. Gives it to her. And then you got to see the A-Force. You saw the A-Force assemble. All the female superheroes gathered together. They all swarmed around Peter Parker and they're like, don't worry. She's got help. They all walk. They all charge with one another. They tag team and combo moving each other. So Tony and Doctor Strange meet up. And he's like, out of all the 14 million possibilities that you saw, is this the one? Is this the one where we win? And he's like, if I tell you, it won't come true. It won't happen. So he's like, okay, you better be right. All the women beat up Thanos. He sees what they're doing. He throws his sword into the van and destroys it. I'm like, God, now they got no time machine. I already knew what was coming up next. I was like, God, he's going to put on the gauntlet. It's going to happen all over again. Now they have no time machine. They can't build one right now. They're in the middle of a battle. So he sees the gauntlet. Tony sees it too. Rushes over to it. He kicks Tony out of the way. Grabs the gauntlet. All of a sudden, Cap and Thor get up on him. They tag teaming each other. He throws each one of them, knocks Cap stone cold out. Puts on the gauntlet. Captain Marvel says, no. She starts punching. Flying up next to him. Boom, boom, boom. He's like, none of that. Not having it. He puts on the glove again. About to snap her finger. She grabs it. bends his fingers backwards, and he tries to headbutt her, and she's like, doesn't work like that. And he's like, I can't headbutt her either. She's that strong. Picks out the Power Stone, puts it in his hand, and punches her. And she goes flying. Then it cuts over to Doctor Strange, and he looks over at Tony, because he was like, everything's lining up, and he's over here just going, this is it. This is the one chance. Tony already knew what to do. Thanos puts the Power Stone back in the gauntlet. Tony runs over there, grabs the gauntlet, and I already knew what he was doing. I already knew. Kicks Tony away again, and he's like, puts it on, he's like, I am inevitable. He's like, what? Looks over at his glove, all the stones are out. And then you look at Tony, they're on his hand. And he goes, I am Iron Man. Snaps his fingers, and all the Outriders, all the Chitauri, everybody goes away. And Thanos is just like, wow. Okay. Alright. That's how it is? Okay. And the way that it was framed and shot, you saw Ebony Maw holding out his hand and holding out his stomach, kind of like Peter Parker did in Infinity War, and he just disappears. You see Proxton and Midnight and Corvus Glaive hugging one another as they like disappear, they kiss. Because they're married in the comics, I'm guessing they were married in this movie as well. And we kind of saw how they were in Infinity War. So they hug each other. Thanos just sits back down and he's like, the exact same way it was framed at the end of Infinity War. And he sits down, he's just like, and he's just there smiling. This Thanos is just like, and then he disappears. And again, they did this in Infinity War, and they did it again in this movie. In Infinity War, when they're on Titan, they're holding him back, and they almost got the glove off. And then Nebula tells Star-Lord what he did to Gamora. He breaks out. He gets the Time Stone. Goes to Wakanda. Then they kill Vision. He's like, nah. Reverses time. Grabs the Mind Stone and kills Vision. Puts it in the gauntlet. He's like, got it. Thor comes in. Wham! Stormbreaker. He's like, you should have gone for the head. Snaps all of existence. 50%. They did the exact same thing in this movie. After Thanos disappears, everyone's clapping in the theater. Yeah, we did it, we won. Then you cut to Tony just leaning. He's struggling. He sits down, and half his face, half of his body is charred. Rhodey walks over, puts his hand on his face, and he's like, and they did it again with Spider-Man. They broke my heart. First, he disappeared in Tony's arm. Now Tony disappears in Peter's arms. He comes over, he's like, Mr. Stark, we won. We won, we did it. And he's just struggling just to smile. Peter's already starting to cry, because he already knows what's happening. And he's like, Tony, I'm sorry. Pepper pulls him away, and he's like, Tony, we're going to be okay. We're going to be alright. You can rest now. The whole theater just silent. You can hear sniffles. You hear nobody drinking any of their soda. You hear nobody crunching on no popcorn. All you hear is sniffles. You can hear teardrops hit the floor. So, after Tony gives a speech, he recorded one message for Morgan in case he died, and you hear that over. All these. We get a few shots of everybody returning back to their normal lives. Peter goes back to school. He meets up with Ned, Scott, and Hope. They reunite with Cassie. Clint goes back home. He reunites with all his family members. And then you cut to at Tony's house. You get to see him in a recorded message, and he's like, "If you're watching this back, I want you to remember that this was all in the making." He wasn't just talking about the Endgame movie. He was talking about the entire Marvel universe. He was talking about the whole MCU. That this was a legacy built. He's like, I hope all family members are reunited. I hope all friends are celebrating. I hope we all got it back to the whole normal world. And then he's like, Morgan, being a hero, that's what it's like. Part of the journey is the end. They go outside. Pepper's got the original arc reactor that says proof that Tony Stark has a heart. Everybody's there for the whole funeral. Everybody. they pan from the dock all the way to the very end. You see everybody. You see Cap, Thor, Professor Hulk. You see Aunt May, Peter Parker, the Black Panther crew, the Guardians, Cap's Avengers, everybody. And then it goes over to Harley from Iron Man 3. You see Secretary Ross. You see Captain Marvel, and then Nick Fury just walks out. Cut to Clint and Wanda. They're talking. They're like, I wish I could only tell her that we made it, that we won. And Wanda's like, they both know. They both know that we won. Then you cut to Cap, Bucky, Sam, and Professor Hulk. They got their own little time machine. And they, Hulk's like, you gotta return the stones exactly where they were. He's like, otherwise you'll open a whole lot of nasty time holes and alternate timelines. He's like, okay. And he's like, I tried to bring Natasha back, but I couldn't. I just really, really tried, man. And he's like, I know you did. So he tells Bucky, he's like, goodbye, it's gonna be okay. Which Bucky already knew what he was planning on doing. Sam has no idea, neither does Hulk. He's like, Sam's like, you want me to come with you? And he's like, no, you stay here, man. You're a good man. So he takes all the stones back. He takes his shield. He takes He takes the stones and he takes Mjolnir back with him. Then Hulk tries to bring him back, and they're like, where is he? He passed his timestamp. Where is he? Bucky looks over. Steve's sitting on a bench. He's like, Sam, come over here. They look at him. Sam and Bucky walk over there. They see an old man Cap, and he's like, well, after I put the stones back, I want to try some of that light that Tony was telling me about. Sam's like, was it good? And he's like, it really was. It was beautiful. And he's like, Sam's like, the only problem is I have to live in a world without Captain America. And he's like, maybe not. Pulls out his shield, and he's like, try it on. Bucky nods at Sam. Sam picks it up, puts it on. He's like, how's it feel? He's like, feels like someone's. And he's like, it isn't. He's like, I trust that you'll do your best. And he looks at his hand. He's like, you want me to tell you about her? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And before the final shot, I want to talk about Thor. He goes back to Asgard, back to New Asgard, back on Earth. He talks to Valkyrie, and he's like, he's like, while I'm gone, you're the new leader. Okay, you're a good leader. They need a king. You obviously have greater leadership than I am. He boards the Guardian ship, the Benatar. Peter's looking at a screen. He's looking for Gamora. And that scene is funny. I love it. He's like, of course. So Thor's gonna be with the Guardians of the Galaxy in the next movie. I'm very excited to see that. And one more thing, Thanos. He was a beast. I like that we got to see two different Thanoses. We got to see the poetic Thanos who wanted half the universe to be dusted, and the other 50% become peaceful and thrive for greatness. And then you got to see this bad A Thanos who did not care about anything. He pretty much saw his poetic version and was like, screw that, I'm not turning out like that. I'm going to go kill people. He leveled out everything. And I like Thanos with the double-bladed sword more than I liked him with the gauntlet. So, flashback to 1942 or 45. Steve's in there dancing with Peggy. Finally got his slow dance. Finally. He got to live out his normal life. He got it. Finally. So this movie, man, it was definitely something. It was definitely 10 to 11 years in the making. I cannot wait to see more of these in the future. And everyone, I've talked to so many people now. They're all like, this was the end, Isaac. This was the final one. I'm like, no, it's not. We got Spider-Man Far From Home coming out in about a month. I'm like, don't worry, there's gonna be way more. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, we got Black Panther 2 coming out. We got Doctor Strange 2 coming out. We got the Black Widow solo movie that's set in the past coming out. We got Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We got all these different movies coming out. I said, they're not quitting. This is just the beginning. This is the end for some of these characters, but this is the beginning of some newer ones. I said, we're not going anywhere. This is going to be here for a long time. Long time. It'll probably still be here by the time I'm gone. But yeah, if I had to rate this movie from a 1 to a 10, I'm going to give it a 10. There are like 1 or 2 or 3 things that I will nitpick about this movie, but other than that, it's a perfect movie. Perfect. Flawless. You can either love it or you can hate it, but there's no denying that this movie was fantastic. And everyone's like, you always give these movies a 10 out of 10 or a 9.5 or a 9 out of 10. I'm just a big lover of movies. I love movies. Alright? I know a few good movies. I know a few good bad movies. Really bad movies. But this is not one of them. This is a outstanding movie. This is something I'm going to watch back. And I just can't wait to see what they do with all these other characters and how the world's going to recover and how the whole universe is going to recover after this, because it's truly something special, man. This movie was just great. Outstanding. So, hope you guys did enjoy my spoiler review. If you want me to do any more videos, if you have anything confusing, like the whole timeline, the whole Thanos, or the Infinity Gauntlet, or like the Infinity Stones, anything, let me know, guys. I'm happy to do them. Let me know what you guys think about this movie down in the comment section below. But without further ado, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! And remember, always imagine bigger.